You know someone who just doesn't do holidays, like at all. While everyone else is decorating their house and planning family dinners and getting excited about the season, this person is completely unbothered. They're not Scrooge. They're not trying to ruin anyone's fun. They're just genuinely indifferent. And at first, you think maybe they had a bad childhood. Maybe something traumatic happened during the holidays. Maybe they'll come around eventually. But then years go by and nothing changes. December rolls around, and they treat it like any other month. No tree, no gifts, no celebration. And you're left wondering, how is that even possible? How do you just opt out of something that literally the entire culture is built around? Well, here's what most people don't understand. These aren't people who are broken or damaged or missing something. They're people who are wired fundamentally differently. And psychologists have actually studied this, like really studied it, and what they found will completely change how you see these people. Here's the thing that blows my mind about this. We treat celebrating holidays like it's the default human setting, like everyone naturally loves Christmas or Thanksgiving or New Year's, and if you don't, something must be wrong with you. But that's not how psychology works. That's not how personality works. Some people's brains just don't light up for collective rituals. They don't get a dopamine hit from traditions. They don't feel connected through shared celebration. And that's not a defect. That's just a different psychological profile. But because they're the minority, everyone treats them like they need to be fixed. Like if we just find the right Christmas movie or the perfect holiday gathering, they'll finally get it. But they won't, because there's nothing to get. They already understand holidays. They just don't want them. But if you're watching this right now, I'm guessing you fall into one of two camps. Either you're someone who doesn't celebrate, and you've spent your whole life feeling like an alien, or you know someone who doesn't celebrate and you're trying to understand how their brain works. And here's what's fascinating. Both groups are about to learn something. Because what psychologists have discovered about people who opt out of holidays reveals some pretty incredible things about autonomy personality and how we're all wired differently. So let me show you the 5 psychological traits that show up consistently in people who don't celebrate holidays. And I'm warning you now, if you're someone who loves the holidays, this might make you uncomfortable. Because once you understand why some people opt out, you might start questioning why you opted in. Trait number 1, and this is the most common one, they have an extremely high need for autonomy. They don't like being told when to be happy, when to gather with family, when to give gifts, when to feel festive. The obligatory nature of holidays feels like coercion to them, and their brain rejects coercion automatically. Most people don't even notice this. You just go along with the cultural calendar. December means holidays. Holidays mean celebration. You don't question it. But people with high autonomy need to question everything that feels prescribed. And holidays? Holidays are the most prescribed thing in our culture. You're supposed to be grateful on Thanksgiving, joyful on Christmas, reflective on New Year's. And if you're not, you get asked, what's wrong with you? I have a friend who explained this to me in a way that finally made it click. She said, I don't hate holidays. I hate being told that this specific day matters more than any other day. I hate that I'm supposed to feel a certain way on command. I hate that if I want to spend December 25th the same way I spend any other day, I'm treated like I'm broken. And when she said that, I realized she wasn't being difficult. She just has a brain that values self-determination over social conformity. And for people like that, holidays don't feel like celebration. They feel like social pressure wrapped in glitter. Here's what researchers at the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found. People with high autonomy orientation and experience significantly more stress during obligatory social rituals. Their cortisol levels actually spike when they're expected to participate in events they didn't choose. It's not that they don't like people or joy or connection. They just need those things to be voluntary. The second it becomes mandatory, their brain reads it as a threat to their freedom, and they shut down. So when you ask them, why don't you celebrate Christmas, what they hear is, why don't you comply with social expectations? And their answer is, because I don't want to. And that's a complete sentence. Trait number 2, they have low nostalgia attachment. Most people love holidays because of the memories, the traditions, the way it felt when you were a kid. The nostalgia is the whole point. You're not just celebrating the day, you're recreating a feeling from your past. But people who don't celebrate, they don't romanticize the past. They don't feel emotionally pulled toward recreating childhood experiences. They live in the present, and nostalgia based rituals feel empty to them. I used to think this meant they had bad childhoods, that they didn't celebrate because holidays were traumatic for them, and sometimes that's true. But most of the time, they just don't attach emotional significance to the past the way other people do. Their brain doesn't say, remember how magical this was, let's do it again. Their brain says that was then, this is now. Why are we pretending time works backwards? And honestly, when you think about it, that's kind of a healthier relationship with memory. They're not stuck trying to recreate something that can't be recreated. They're just living their current life. Research on nostalgia proneness shows that people with low nostalgia scores report higher present moment satisfaction. They're not comparing today to some idealized version of the past. They're just experiencing today as it is. And for them, holidays are a cultural obsession with something that already happened. Why would they celebrate the past when they're busy living the present? But here's where it gets interesting. If you subscribe to this channel, you're going to see a pattern. A lot of the psychology we talk about here comes down to people being wired differently and then being punished for it. People who don't celebrate holidays, people who don't use social media, people who don't follow the script everyone else follows. They're not broken. They're just operating on a different frequency. And if you're someone who feels like you never quite fit the mold, hit that subscribe button because this whole channel is for you. Trait number 3, and this one's huge. They're often highly introverted. And I don't just mean they're shy. I mean, their nervous system is wired in a way that makes social obligations actively draining. Holidays aren't just annoying to them, they're exhausting. Because holidays are designed for extroverts, big gatherings, lots of people, constant social interaction, expectation to be upbeat and engaged for hours. That's an extrovert's dream and an introvert's nightmare. And when you're already introverted, adding the obligation layer makes it unbearable. I watched this happen with someone in my family. Every year, the same pattern. Weeks before the holidays, they'd start getting anxious. During the holidays, they'd power through, but you could see them wilting. After the holidays, they'd need days to recover. And everyone would say, why are you being so antisocial? It's the holidays. But they weren't being antisocial. They were protecting their nervous system from complete overload. Because here's what most people don't understand about introversion. It's not about liking or not liking people. It's about how your brain processes stimulation. Introverts have a lower threshold for stimulation. Too much social input and their system gets flooded. They need quiet to recharge. And holidays? Holidays are the opposite of quiet. Psychologists who study temperament have found that introverts experience social fatigue at significantly lower thresholds than extroverts. What feels energizing to an extrovert feels overwhelming to an introvert, and the cultural expectation that everyone should enjoy large social gatherings is basically extrovert supremacy. We've built holidays around one personality type, and then we shame everyone who doesn't fit that type. So when someone says, I don't celebrate holidays, what they might really be saying is, I can't handle the sensory and social overload, and I'm not going to destroy myself trying. Trait number 4. They have a countercultural personality. They question social norms automatically, not because they're trying to be difficult, but because their brain is wired to ask, why are we doing this? And when the answer is because everyone else does it, that's not convincing to them. Holidays are the ultimate social conformity test. Everyone decorates, everyone gathers, everyone exchanges gifts, everyone participates. And if you don't, you're the weird one. But people with countercultural tendencies don't care about being weird. They care about doing things that make sense to them. And holidays often don't make sense to them. I know someone who broke this down for me in the most logical way. He said, I don't understand why I need a specific date on a calendar to tell me when to appreciate my family, or give people gifts, or reflect on my life. Those things matter. I should do them all year. Why do I need December to remind me? And I didn't have a good answer. Because he's right, the whole structure of holidays is arbitrary. We made it up. And people with countercultural brains see through made up structures really easily. They're not trying to ruin your fun. They're just not participating in a system that doesn't align with how they think. Research on nonconformity shows that people who question social norms tend to have higher critical thinking skills and lower susceptibility to groupthink. They're not following the crowd. They're evaluating whether the crowd is going somewhere that makes sense. And when it comes to holidays, they've evaluated it and decided it doesn't. That's not rebellion. That's just a different decision making process. But our culture treats opting out of holidays like it's a moral failure, like you're betraying something sacred, when really you're just exercising the right to live differently. And trait number 5. This is the one nobody wants to talk about, but it's really important. Many people who don't celebrate holidays have negative associations tied to them: trauma, loss, family dysfunction, painful memories. The holidays aren't neutral for them, they're activating, and choosing not to celebrate isn't about being a Grinch. It's about protecting their mental health. Because for some people, the holidays represent the worst times of their life. And being expected to participate in something that triggers them just because it's December, that's not fair. That's cruel. I'll never forget someone telling me this. They said the holidays were when my parents fought the most, when the drinking got worse, when everything fell apart. So no, I don't celebrate. Because I spent my childhood dreading this time of year, and I'm not doing it anymore. And that hit me so hard. Because we assume everyone has warm, fuzzy holiday memories, but some people have the opposite. And their choice not to celebrate isn't about rejecting joy, it's about refusing to re traumatize themselves for the sake of cultural expectations. Psychologists who work with trauma understand this. Seasonal triggers are real. And for people with adverse holiday experiences, the kindest thing you can do is let them opt bitchins out without guilt. Let them spend December however they need to spend it. Don't tell them they need to heal their inner child, or make new memories, or get over it. Just let them protect themselves. Because that's what they're doing. They're not broken. They're boundaried. And that's actually really healthy. Now, here's what all 5 of these traits tell us. People who don't celebrate holidays aren't missing something. They have something different. High autonomy, present focused thinking, introverted nervous systems, countercultural minds, or protective boundaries around trauma. None of these are defects. They're just different ways of being wired. And the fact that our culture treats not celebrating like it's a problem says more about our need for conformity than it does about them. Here's your reframe if you need one. Not everyone experiences joy the same way. Not everyone connects through the same rituals. Not everyone's brain lights up for the same things. And that's not just, okay, that's necessary. Because a world where everyone is exactly the same is a boring dystopia. The people who opt out of holidays aren't the problem. The expectation that everyone should participate in the same cultural script is the problem. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. So if you're someone who doesn't celebrate, I want you to hear this. You're not broken. You're not missing out. You're not cold or damaged or wrong. You're just wired differently, and you're allowed to honor that wiring. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you don't celebrate. You don't owe anyone participation in something that doesn't serve you. You're allowed to spend December exactly how you want to spend it. And anyone who makes you feel guilty about that, they're the ones with the problem, not you. And if you're someone who loves holidays and you're trying to understand the person in your life who doesn't, here's what I want you to know. Stop trying to convert them. Stop trying to find the magic thing that will make them care. Stop treating their choice like it's a challenge you need to solve. Just let them be. Let them opt out. Let them spend the day however they want, without commentary or pressure or guilt. Because the best gift you can give someone who doesn't celebrate is the freedom to not celebrate without being made to feel broken. Here at Cyclipsius, we don't just talk about psychology, we make it make sense. If this video helped you understand yourself or someone you love, hit subscribe because next week we're breaking down why some people are obsessed with true crime and what that reveals about how they process fear. Your future self, the one who finally feels permission to live outside the cultural script, is already thanking you for being here. You don't have to celebrate holidays to be whole. You don't have to follow traditions to be connected. You don't have to participate in rituals that don't fit you. And realizing that, that's freedom. You've got this.